application that we have available to us here with the management portal. We simply log in here with your email address and password. There's an option here to create an account should you not have one. And if we go to log in, then on first login, we see this dashboard. And this portal, this management portal, illustrates to us the fax area first of all, so we can have fax capability within the CapturePoint MPS application. This will then track all faxes inbound and outbound, and this will give you a listing of all the transmissions that take place and all the devices that are coming in with fax as well. Here you have a print table, and we can also have export this to a CSV file. Now, if we take a look at the scan logs over here, then you can see that we have a number of scan logs in the list here. And this now shows us who scanned it, comes up with a file name with a clever date and time stamp on it. You can see the format listed here, and over here we got the time and date, and the destination, which shows scans to DocuShare Flex and Dropbox and any other applications of destinations that you've utilized. Device name, serial number, and more details are listed over here. So that's the scan logs, and these can be filtered using this filter application options with a start and a finish date, and then that will allow you to exit the file or export that CSV file or print a table. If you go to print a table, you can now select it here, and it will gather that information together in order to do a printout. So very quick and simple to select and look at the management user data. Down the left side here we have the account details, and these are listing in here with various information. You see here is where we would reference the fax number, and we can port in an existing fax through CapturePoint MPS here, and various information around the licenses. So CapturePoint MPS adds a lot of extra capability in terms of enabling this app by way of a license to many devices. Those devices would register as they get a single sign-on, or a user logs in at an MFP device. It would do a lookup here within the management system, check that it has a license associated to that device serial number, at which point it will allow the application to proceed. Once the user logs in at the MFP device, they will be looking at a series of icons on the screen, a series of specific apps which will direct them to their particular locations. Now, in the management portal area, you can see we have a number of specific buttons that would be set up here in order to be our connector to those back-end collaboration destinations. In here, we have a line of connectors. These are the current set of connectors that we have available from DocuShare, Dropbox, Ignite, Google Drive, OneDrive, Box, and SharePoint. We have new ones coming online soon. And furthermore, future-wise, we will have new premium connectors that will connect to other CRM, DRM, DM systems, which would allow us to be able to capture and route documents into those particular applications. Just to see one in action right now, if I was to select the Dropbox option, you can see I can add a provider in here, and I can put in that this is going to be my Dropbox folder to let's say PJ, and I can now set up a connector here. By selecting connect, it automatically connects to my Dropbox folder. I've already done an authorization to this folder, so it simply connects me and adds me another connector, and this specific connector then is illustrated up here as well, so you can see Dropbox folder PJ has now been added. Exactly the same if we were doing these other connectors, and for example, here's a Google Drive, and if we go into here and go Google Drive 1 2 3 4, then we can do a connection to that particular destination service. It comes up with options in here, at which point I can log in with the particular sign-on address, allow the connection, and then I'm authorized to connect to my Google Drive as well. So here we have then a complete control of our user portal or our management portal to be able to manage any of these application providers and connect us to the content services that sit in other collaboration destinations. This is the screen that's on the MFP device itself. Here we have our CapturePoint MPS button. And when we log on through this, it will take us through that journey that we discussed earlier, connecting and validating our license. Once that validation is complete, then it will allow us to sign in. Now, at which point we have the single sign-on with our linked card. By selecting this option, it will ask me to log in and then associate the card. And selecting this option will allow me to just log in. And here's a guest option. And this will mean that when you log in, you will be asked for your authentication details. So clearly the ideal way is to have a card associated. But if you don't have a card, then we can log in through this process here and enter that. And then we hit the OK button. That now authenticates and connects me to the series of connectors that we generated just moments ago. And you will recall that one of those was the Dropbox folder with PJ, so that shows up in here. So each of these particular Dropbox options are selected by way of a tag, which allows me to have a single button that connects me to the appropriate folder or subfolder on the on that particular collaboration service. Also here you can see there's various Ignite connector and the Google Drive plus the one that I set up just a few moments ago. Here we have the DocuShare Flex connector in here as well. So another little goodie inside the CapturePoint MPS application is this ability to have a separator page. And you can select this and it'll print out a series of pages with separator barcodes, which allows you to put in between each of the sets of documents, which then when scanned will separate the documents into groups. In the top corner, we have a tick box, and this shows you your credit allowance should you be using the credit license method. We're going back to here, so what I'm going to do is select to scan into the Dropbox folder, and selecting that gives us a series of options. We have single or double-sided options here. We also have options for PDF, Word, and Excel, which allows us OCR into the Word, and you can take that document and it can be filed into any of these file formats. Over here we have a series of language options, including English, French, German, Spanish, and Italian, and Portuguese. And down here we have options for black and white or a color. Once you've made those selections, you can select here. This output name can be changed in here. You select the scan button and it starts to prepare and scan the document. And once it's completed its scanning process, we'll upload and file the document into the appropriate cloud service, which will be a subfolder of Dropbox or whichever one you have selected as appropriate. Once that job has been scanned, you hit done, and here is the upload process, which is now putting this into the actual folder. Once this is done, complete, you can go back to home page, and your job is complete, ready for some other activity of capture or print.